Okay, coming back to where we were before, just wanted to continue the going through the tutorial, and we talked about calculating the sum of x, and we did that already here using an array, and we said x is equal to 1 to 10, and then we used the command sumx to show that it's equal to 55. One thing also in the tutorial is that you can get help on any command and by just typing help and then the name of the command. So for instance, you could type in help sum, and it's going to give you way more information than you ever wanted about the sum command. But if you read it carefully, you can get most of the key information that you need right there as far as how it works and how to use it. Usually there's some examples as well, and it shows you examples there that are useful. And then this is also very useful. It shows you some very similar commands that might be useful to you as well, like PROD, which is product, and you can click on it and you can find out the product of the elements. So for instance, if you had x, which is again all those, if you did prod x, then what you're really doing is you're getting the product of all those, which is the same thing, I think, as doing factorial 10, right? Yeah, same thing. So it's basically the product of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Alright, so that's how you get some help, and so I went through that in the tutorial as well. A little bit more with arrays here. For instance, when I set up this array, I said x equals 1 colon 10. And what that does is it sets up an array between 1 and 10. But it's by default, it counts every one. You can also do this, do y1 colon 2 colon 9, or sorry, 210, like this. And what it does is the middle number there is the increment. So it'll go from 1 to 10, counting by 2. So it goes 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. So if you don't have the middle number, it's by default 1, okay? But if you have the middle number, that'll actually count how many you do each time, okay? And I think that's explained pretty well in the tutorial. You can also pull out just one part of an array. So for instance, you said y3, it's only going to pull out the third element in the array. Notice that there's 5 numbers in the array. If you want the third one, that would be y open parentheses 3 close parentheses, okay, and that would give you the 5, okay. You can also pull out an array within an array. So for instance, if you do y 1 to 3 like this, it gives you the first 3 elements in the 5 element array, okay. So there's some different things you can do with that. All right, now as far as programming in Matlab, it is easier than programming in other computer languages because you can use M files. It's pretty easy to set up and pretty easy to start, okay? And so we're going to go through a program first here in Matlab, okay? So like I said before, I'm going to close this out just to redo it. In order to do a program, you go here, New Script, okay? And then what you'll say is we're going to call this one count.m because this is a very simple program, okay? And it's always a good idea at the beginning of your program to put a few comment lines. And comment lines start with the percent, okay? So for instance, we do percent count.m, then you say percent, then you say percent, and this is just, you know, whatever. Oh, but put your name on it. Always put your name in your code too. I'll just do that, okay? And then also here, put in the purpose of the program. So this one's very simple. Purpose of this program is to count from 1 to 10. I could type. There, okay. So we've got all that. And remember, anything typed after that percent will be ignored by Matlab. Okay, so Matlab doesn't look at this, but people do. And so if you ever write your code, it's very important to add the comments in it because then other people can look at your code and have a better idea of what it's supposed to do. And also very important that you always put your name on your code. Okay, so both of those are very important. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to write a very simple program. Okay, it says here, for j, I'll put it right here, for j equals 1 colon 10. So that's going to start a for loop. In fact, you notice when you use the word for, it turns blue. Okay, that tells you that something's special about that word, because it's going to set up what we call a for loop. okay? And a for loop will go so many times. In this case, it'll go 10 times because it's 1:10. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say display j. DISP is a special command in MATLAB that displays the character on the screen. Then we're going to do end. Okay, this is about as simple a program as you could get. Okay, what it's going to do is it's essentially going to, I'll walk through it like a computer. It's going to say for j equals 1 to 10. So at first we're going to say j equals 1, then it's going to display 1, end, and notice how this for and this end are connected here? Okay, then when it does, it goes back to 4, and they'll say j equals 2. Then display 2, end, goes back to 4, j equals 3, display 3, end, back to 4, j equals 4, display 4, end, keep going, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then that's pretty much what it's going to do. So what you want to do is we can save this. I'm going to call it count. And I think I already have one probably. Okay, I don't. Okay, that's fine. So there's count.m. And I'm going to run it. How do I run it? Well, I'm going to clear this up. You just do count. Just type in count. You don't type count.m. Just type the name. Don't put the .m here. Type that. That's it. It just runs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Because that's how we set it up there. Okay? And just be careful though, when you save the code, make sure you save it in a place where MATLAB's looking for it. Okay? Notice I saved it in this users file, documents, MATLAB, count.m. That's the same place MATLAB is looking for it. If you save it somewhere where MATLAB's not looking for it, you might get an error because MATLAB can't find the code. Alright, so that's 1 through 10, and a very simple program that you can do on your own. Okay? And like I said, it runs a for loop. And a for loop is probably the most basic programming function. The loop operates repeatedly for a certain amount of times. Okay? And I like this graphic because I like to try to visualize this. Whatever's between the for and the end is repeated. How many times? In this case, 10 times. Okay? In this case, the only thing that's repeated is this DISPJ, and the DISP is basically a special command that prints whatever J is on the screen. Okay, now we also have something called while loops, okay, and for that, what I want you to do is I want you to type out this code, and then I want you to watch the next video, the Intro to MATLAB video 2, which I will go through some of this as well on that video. Okay, so what I want you to do is it'll show you how to use a while loop, okay, in order to run the code. And the difference between a while loop and a for loop is pretty clear. A for loop will just run something for so many amount of times, but a while loop keeps running something until something else happens. Okay, and so in general, while loops are a lot more powerful than for loops. We like them better because a while loop says to do something so many times until some other condition is met. Okay, and that tends to be a lot better, a lot more powerful code for you than just a for loop. Okay, so for example, just to give you a simple example between the difference between a for loop and a while loop is, just say we're eating dinner, and let's say you're eating pizza. Someone with a for loop might say, here, eat 4 pieces of pizza. And someone with a while loop might say, well, I'm going to eat pizza until I'm hungry, I'm full, and I don't want to eat any more pizza, right? And so that's the difference. A for loop would be like just saying, okay, eat 4 pieces of pizza. A while loop would say, well, eat pizza until I'm full, and then I would stop. Okay, and so it's kind of the difference between a for loop and a while loop. And what I want you to do in this is I want you to just type this up as a new program, okay, and then I want you to go into the next video and I'll go through that and talk about that, and I'll finish this tutorial as well with you. Now, the other thing I want to do though with you before we're done is I want to talk to you a little bit about how you can access MATLAB, here it is, through Argo Apps. The website is argoapps.uwf.edu. If you go to that, you get that, and you can log in with your UWF ID and password. You have to accept. And then you get a screen like this. You can go up to Apps, and then you can see MATLAB. And you can open it. And you got to wait a moment or two while it's opening up MATLAB. But this is the way in which you can access MATLAB at home without actually having to buy MATLAB. So we're going to bring it up. Alright, now what you'll see here looks pretty similar to the MATLAB that we already did, and it is, okay? Now, the only thing you have to be careful with, though, is again, how do you save your code? Alright, so for instance, let's do that really simple count program, okay? We start with a new script, and we're going to call it count.m, right? Okay, so we're going to do this, and we're going to say count.m, and I'm going to say it's by me. And we're going to say this code counts from 1 to 10. Something like that. Okay, whatever, right? Alright, and then I'm going to type in the code. It's like 4 j equals 1:10. Then it's disp j, and it's end. Okay, so there it is. Now, the thing you've got to be careful with, though, is by default, it starts on a area here, C, program files, MATLAB. You can't even save in that. In fact, if you go to try to save it and say, oh, I want to call this count.m here, and go to save, it gives you an error, okay? So it says, would you like to save in Documents folder instead? Well, I'd say no, and I want to save to my device if I can, or even better would be to save to the H drive. If you have an H drive that's linked, you should be able to do this. Save MATLAB, and well, I don't want to call it hello, I'll call count. And oh, I've already got one on there, but we'll just replace it. Okay. Now, if you do it like this, you think, okay, it's great, let's run count. Let's run count.m. It's going to say, whoa, something's not right there. Okay, what's going on? Well, because look, you are in the C drive here. It's going to be looking for it in the C drive. You've got to change this to your H drive, and then you got to find the place where this is. Now if you do it, it prints it out like we thought, okay? Because notice that the H drive here, and I made a special MATLAB folder, that drive and that folder contains the count.m code, and that's where I've told, that's not only where I've put it, but that's where I've told MATLAB to look for it. Okay, so you want to match that up. You want this line to match up over here, and then you want to have your code there. And the nice thing with your H drive, you should be able to also then, when you're all done, if you want to, you can save a copy onto your own device. Okay, somewhere here. Okay, do that. Save it on your own computer. Great. Save it on the H drive. Great. Okay, and that'll help. If you save it on your own computer, that will also allow you to submit it via the Dropbox. Okay, but you can do everything pretty much with Argo apps that you could do on your own computer, and you can write your code here. You can run your code here in the command window. You've got your workspace. Everything's pretty much the same. So I'd encourage you to use Argo apps if you want to, or come into one of our computers on campus, or if you want to download MATLAB and run it yourself. So those are the options, and so please start early and let me know if you have any questions with MATLAB.